Let me ask you a question, a real one. Have you ever looked at a person or a situation, or maybe even a whole season of your own life, and just thought, what is the point of this? Well, this is a story about that exact feeling. It's a quiet story, a reminder that sometimes the very thing we call useless is actually the thing that's saving us. You know what I mean, right? Maybe it was a person who just seemed to contribute nothing, or a situation that felt completely and utterly meaningless. Maybe it was a phase in your own life that, looking back, just feels like a waste of time. We're so quick, aren't we? So quick to judge what has value, and even quicker to dismiss what we don't immediately understand.
All right, so picture this. Our story starts on one of those long, hot summer days. Two travelers are walking down a dusty road. They've been walking for hours. Their sandals are caked with dirt, their backs are soaked with sweat, and the lively conversation they started with has long since faded into silence.
It was that kind of oppressive heat, where the sun feels like it's physically pressing down on you. The air is still, the dust just hangs there, and every single step feels like you're fighting against the day itself. After a while, one of the men squints into the distance and points. His voice is a little hoarse. "Look," he says, "over there. Is that a tree?" And there it was, standing all by itself next to the road with this huge, wide canopy of thick green leaves. It was like an oasis. Without saying another word, they both just veer off the road and pretty much collapse onto the cool earth underneath it. They stretch out, drop their heavy bags, and you can just imagine that deep, long sigh of relief. They finally found rest. So after a few minutes of just lying there in the quiet, one of the men looks up through the branches and, with this little hint of disdain in his voice, he says, "This tree it's pretty useless, isn't it?" He goes on, "Think about it. It doesn't give any fruit, no nuts, nothing we can eat. And the wood, plane tree wood, isn't even good for building things or for a fire. So what is its purpose? It just stands here." His companion doesn't say anything. And then there's a sound. It's not the wind. It's something softer. A gentle rustling that seems to come from the tree itself, from the leaves, from the very bark. And that rustling sound slowly, somehow, starts to form words. It says, "Don't be so ungrateful." You can imagine both men just bolt upright. The voice continues, calm and steady, like the sound of leaves in a gentle breeze. "I am being extremely useful to you," the tree says. "At this very moment, you ran from the sun, you came looking for me, you are lying in my shade right now, being protected from the very heat that was about to defeat you, and yet you call me good for nothing?" The man who had complained, what could he say? He just opens his mouth and then closes it again. And the tree speaks one last time, even quieter now, almost a whisper. "All of creation has a purpose. Not all purpose is visible. Not all value can be eaten or sold or measured. But that doesn't mean it isn't there." And just like that, the rustling stopped, and the leaves were just leaves again. So let's pause with that for a moment, because here's what's so powerful about this little story. The traveler wasn't trying to be cruel. He was just using the logic we all learn, right? That things are valuable if they have a clear, measurable use. But the tree was being useful. He just couldn't see it because his definition of value was too narrow. And this simple parable gets to the very heart of a core Islamic teaching: gratitude. In Arabic, the word for this is shukr. And shukr is so much more than just saying thank you. It's a way of seeing the world. It's a state of the heart. It is the active, constant recognition that everything you've been given, the big things, the small things, even the things that seem inconvenient, it all comes from God, and it all has a wisdom inside of it. The Quran speaks about this divine law of the universe. It says, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase you." But think about what that implies. It means you first have to recognize the blessing before you can be grateful for it. You can't be grateful for something you've already dismissed as worthless. The traveler was literally sitting inside of a blessing and calling it useless. How often do we do that? You see, in the Islamic spiritual tradition, the entire natural world is considered a collection of ayat, which means signs. Every river, every mountain, every single creature, every tree, they aren't just objects. They're signs, they're messages, all pointing back to the Creator. So that plane tree in this story, it's not just shade. It's a sign that God's provision comes in forms we often don't expect and don't appreciate. And of course, this isn't just about trees, is it? Let's bring this idea home, into our own lives, into our relationships. This is the part that really moves me. Think about it. The plane tree didn't check if the travelers were worthy of its shade. It didn't wait for them to say thank you. It just gave, fully, quietly, unconditionally. It gave its gift even to the man who was insulting it at that very moment. There's something so profoundly beautiful in that. Seriously, take a moment. How many people in your life are like that plane tree? They provide a steady shelter, they hold space for you, they don't make a big deal about it. Maybe it's a parent who always answers the phone, a friend who is just there. Solid, reliable, like shade. We tend to celebrate the flashy, obvious blessings, but the tree's gift isn't flashy, it's just shade. And on a hot, weary day, shade is everything. This is exactly what the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught us. He said, "Do not belittle any good deed. Don't look down on any blessing, no matter how small it seems. Don't dismiss anything, because you just never know the true purpose it's serving in your life or in the life of someone else." So what do we do with this? How do we take this beautiful story and actually live it? How do we stop being the traveler who complains and start being the one who truly sees the shade all around us? Well, let's try a little practice. First, just for today, try to notice the small, quiet benefits. The simple fact that you woke up, the roof over your head. These are your plane trees. Second, think about the quiet people in your life, the ones whose value isn't loud or obvious. Is it possible they're offering you a kind of shade you've been taking for granted? And finally, and this one is harder, think gently about the seasons of your life you've written off as wasted. Is it possible that even then, especially then, something was growing? Maybe your root system was deepening underground where you couldn't see it, preparing you for what was next. Just remember the words of the tree. All of God's creations have a purpose, and that, of course, includes you. It includes your unique story. It includes all the chapters that didn't make sense at the time and maybe still don't. In the end, it's so simple. Two travelers find a tree. One sees a useless object. The other is quiet. And the tree, unbothered, unasked, unhurried, just keeps on giving its gift. And that's the invitation for us, to give without always needing to be thanked, to receive without always needing to measure the value, and to look, to really, truly look at the quiet shade in our lives before we dare call anything useless. So I'll leave you with this question to carry in your heart. What blessing are you overlooking?